Hello guys and welcome to my new video, and today I'm going to be making a tier list in terms of the most fun healer based on my season 4 PTR testing, and I've tested every single healer. This is going to be a video that's going to be focusing on Mythic Plus content, and of course this is extremely subjective. You're more than welcome to agree or disagree or leave comments below telling me what your tier list would look like when it comes to the fun aspect of playing each class. And if you enjoy these type of videos, like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel, especially with the new season and the new expansion on the horizon. And also a big disclaimer, because I've been doing these tier lists on stream with viewers and we were chatting about the power and the fun aspects of the class, and honestly I can fall into this category where differentiating the power of the class versus the fun aspects can sometimes be relatively difficult. For example, certain specs on this list are actually pretty fun to play, but a lot of the times they might require a lot more effort versus other classes in order to achieve certain numbers, and in my mind that can be viewed as whether the class is rewarding or not. And I can definitely sometimes battle between the two concepts of rewarding versus the fun aspect, because let's be honest, if you're playing a class and it feels pretty good but the numbers are really high, subconsciously you're probably going to gravitate towards that a bit more. At least I do. And at the end of the day, no video or tier list should tell you which class is fun to play, but there's so many people who ask me about which healers I'm finding very interesting in season 4, which healers I possibly will main in season 4, and this is the reason for this video. So let's go and get started with the tier list. And again, this is only Mythic Plus, this is based on season 4 testing, but the healer that I'm going to be placing closer to S tier or close to S tier is going to be, I'm gonna go with the Restoration Druid. And I know this is going to, it's probably not going to appeal to everyone, because Resto Druid is, you either love it or hate it type of gameplay. It is HOTS, healing over time, relying on HOTS to do the work. Grove Guardians is something that I really enjoy, because I genuinely believe Grove Guardians and the tier set fits Mythic Plus really well. On the flip side, my enjoyment of Resto Druid in raids is severely diminished. I don't think Resto Druid in raid is close to being as fun as it is in the Mythic Plus content. So if this tier list would actually incorporate both raids and Mythic Plus, Resto Druid would actually dip a couple of places. But because this tier list is just looking at Mythic Plus content, honestly, I have a blast with my Resto Druid. I can really gravitate towards that shape-shifting, that cat weaving. I love cat weaving, and the fact that cat weaving is back. It's back in season 3, and it's also going to be back in season 4 unless they're going to do some further tuning. So if you're someone who enjoys that healing over time gameplay, if you like shape-shifting, if you like kitty weaving, if you like applying bleeds, dots, hots, if you like that gameplay, it can be really fun. Again, I talked about Grove Guardians. You are kind of like a pet healing class, because your Grove Guardians are going to do so much of your overall healing. And I'm fully aware of the fact that pet healing is an extremely hot topic, especially in Dragonflight. There's a lot of Resto Druids who don't like Grove Guardians doing so much of the overall healing. And I can see where they're coming from, especially when it comes to raiding content. But I genuinely really enjoy this type of gameplay in Mythic Plus content, because it allows me to spend more time DPSing, and it just feels more natural when it comes to smaller content, at least in my opinion. And in season 4 you're getting the same season 3 tier set, which basically means nothing is really going to change. But I also know a lot of people are not going to agree with Resto Druid being in the S tier of fun healers when it comes to Mythic Plus content, because I think it does require a decent amount of setup. You need to prepare before damage happens, you need to anticipate damage, and I think a lot of players who start playing Resto Druid for the first time, or even playing it for a decently long time, they might have a difficult time in terms of getting the most out of this class. When do you go kitty form? When do you activate Heart of the Wild? How can I optimize my damage? Can I just press Grove Guardians and keep staying in my kitty form in order to pin max DPS, because everyone else is going to be fine? We talked about Resto Druid requiring setup, but if you have those hots rolling before the damage is happening, it can feel really fun. You can meet all the HPS checks, and that can feel rewarding to play a class, because you're getting value out of your effort. On top of that, we talked about Grove Guardians, the tier set. You're getting clear casting with growths which interact with the tier set. They all kind of combine in order to make a really engaging and fun healer, in my opinion. There's so many little min-maxy aspects of this class. It might seem like an easy class to play on paper, but honestly the skill ceiling can be pretty high when you go to the top end keys, and I'm all for that. Now let's go to the second healer, and that is going to be another S tier healer. I thought about this for a little while, because I don't hate any healer out there, I really don't, but in this case it's going to be Mistweaver Monk. I'm going to place it in S tier. I don't think, and I tried a lot of this, I pushed keys with Mistweaver Monk, I played it in season 4 PTR. You're getting the same tier set in terms of season 3. Nothing's changing with Mistweaver Monk or Restoration Druid so far. We'll have to see if there's going to be tuning changes, but overall I think Mistweaver Monk right now in the game is the most fun melee healer. And why do I say melee? Because Mistweaver Monk in Mythic Plus content is going to be using those Jadefire Stomps, Awakened Jadefire, Ancient Teachings, Rising Mist. All of these talents kind of combine with each other to create a really thought out melee healer that can really heal true damage. And that is a really important concept. Honestly, it is a joy to play in Mythic Plus. I think it can be really fun depending on which key level you're doing. I think you're healing through damage, your DPS can actually heal or meet a lot of the healing checks, and then if you do higher keys, it might be a little bit different, but you have so many different options. Shaylon's Gift. The only thing that I would improve on Mistweaver Monk is that if you are picking Ancient Teachings, you should have a bit of a range increase to your melee abilities, because there's so many bosses out there where the hitbox is relatively low and or short, and you might get an ability that you need to move out and you just can't really hit the boss, you can't really heal through that, and it can be a little bit painful to do. I genuinely believe if Blizzard would incorporate that change in terms of increasing melee range, it would actually be a perfect melee healer. And I also have to bring up the differentiation in the different builds that Mistweaver Monk has. In Mythic Plus, you're running that Jadefire build, you have a lot of healing through damage, and in raids, you might be running that Yulon or even Tom build, which is honestly the closest to a caster Mistweaver you can get. So there is a stark contrast between Mistweaver Monk doing Mythic Plus content and doing raid content. We'll have to see if that's going to change in Season 4. Right now, without any tuning, it's looking to be the same as it was in Season 3. But this video is focusing on Mythic Plus, and honestly, Mistweaver Monk, a fun melee healer, has a lot of mobility, which I really like, has a lot of defenses that you can get cycled through when doing higher keys in order to survive those moonshot mechanics. And on top of that, it feels rewarding to play. Honestly, if you're looking for a melee healer to push Mythic Plus content, Mistweaver Monk is still looking very, very fun in Season 4. Now let's go to the next healer, and this is one of those healers that I thought long about in terms of where would I put them in the fun aspect, because I always gravitate towards this spec, and this is one of the classes or specs that's getting a new tier set, and by new I mean they're going to get an older tier set in Season 4, and that's going to be Restoration Shaman. Now, where should I put Restoration Shaman? Honestly, in this case, I'm probably going to be placing it in A tier, because I'm a little bit unsure about where the tuning is going to go in Season 4 in terms of you're getting Season 1 tier set, and Season 1 2 set bonus is actually really, really powerful. It's been buffed to 15% in terms of crit chance, and maintaining that buff can actually be pretty impactful. On the PTR servers, you have to keep in mind, this is a pre-recorded video. I've done this a couple of days ago. When I was recording this video, you still had this healing stream bug that was pretty annoying. You also have to look at the competition of which totem is going to be the go-to for Resto Shaman when it comes to like Mythic Plus content. Is it going to be Healing Stream? Is it going to be Cloudburst? Healing Stream has faster recharge rate than Cloudburst totem, but Healing Stream has a bug with a 2-set bonus. Which one is going to be the go-to? I really wish Blizzard is going to make it in such a way that you can use both without losing too much throughput, because I know a lot of people will be upset if you force into Healing Stream totem. I also feel a lot of people might be upset if you're forced into Cloudburst totem. My personal opinion, I like Cloudburst totem, and I would hate that Resto Shaman would be only using Healing Stream totem in Season 4, and this is why I'm relatively unsure about where to place Resto Shaman, because I do like Cloudburst totem. He adds a lot of complexity to the class that genuinely kinda needs it. I do agree that Resto Shaman has button bloat. He has so many abilities or situation abilities that you have to keybind in case you need to use it, but at the end of the day, your rotation or base rotation is not overly difficult. So having Cloudburst totem adds additional complexity. I know a lot of people who are watching this video right now, they probably might strongly disagree with this, and that is fine. I think Cloudburst totem and Healing Stream totem has divided the community in a significant way, and it's fine to hate one or like the other. These are just my extremely subjective opinions. I think Blizzard needs to keep an eye in terms of the balancing between Healing Stream totem and Cloudburst totem when it comes to Season 1 2-set bonus, and also look at some of the bug fixes which can actually be relatively annoying. But I always gravitate towards Resto Shaman. I think Resto Shaman can sometimes be viewed as a bit of a stationary healer, but I really enjoyed the control that it provides in my groups. Every time I log into World of Warcraft and I'm looking to do a weekly key, I just want to play my Resto Shaman, because I know if I join a weekly key group, I have so much control in terms of whether it's going to be success or not, because I provide so much control to the group in terms of, hey, I have a stun totem, hey, I can do a knock-up or knockback, I can provide a really good interrupt, I have poison cleansing totem, which is honestly an MVP when dealing with Afflicted, and Afflicted is coming back in Season 4. So there's a lot of things that I can provide to the group, and that makes me happy. I like having that control, and that gives me fun when playing this game. I like what Acid Rain does to Healing Rain. I enjoy the cooldowns that Resto Shaman has, but honestly, some part of me does really wish that Resto Shaman would have gotten Vesper Totem back into Dragonflight, and I do sometimes, when I'm sleeping, I dream about the Vesper Totem, and I dream about those fun times that I had in Shadowlands, and maybe if Resto Shaman had something similar to that, it would go closer to S tier, but right now, I think A tier is pretty appropriate for it, especially because I'm not sure what the go-to totem is going to be in Season 4. And now let's go to the next healer, and that is going to be a healer that I actually mained the most in Dragonflight, and that is going to be my Preservation Evoker, and I'm going to be placing Preservation Evoker somewhere close to Resto Shaman, maybe not. Again, these are somewhat interchangeable, and I'll talk about what could actually make Preservation Evoker S tier. Right now, I've tested Preservation Evoker a lot in Season 4 because you're getting Season 1, I have to say, modified Season 1 tier set back. And the mini gameplay that you'll have with Preservation Evoker when it comes to Mythic Plus content, and again, when I say mini gameplay, this is the way I've been playing it. I'm not sure if this is going to be the best way. Right now, with the Season 1 tier set in Mythic Plus content, I'm applying reversions on the group. Again, reversion healing does not have to be effective healing. Reversion healing has a chance of making your next Living Flame more impactful in terms of dealing more damage, more healing, and also instant cast. And honestly, applying reversions, getting those procs, using those Living Flames in order to DPS or heal is really fun, and then using my empowered abilities is going to increase reversion healing on top of that, which I probably already have reversions on the group because I want to proc the 4-set bonus. You can see this kind of feedback loop that you kind of have. But honestly, Preservation Evoker has been a climber spec for me in terms of the most fun healer. It's climbed quite a bit. I really gravitate towards the tier set. I really think that with some of the changes, Preservation Evoker could be S tier. I really enjoy the empowered abilities. Again, I like this spec. I like how it plays. I like the different concept of empowered abilities. A lot of people are going to be, they either love it or hate it. On top of that, I don't want to bring it in too much because it is a fun aspect of the class, but I know a lot of people don't play Preservation or Evoker because of drag tier. And I think that has to be addressed in some way because honestly, when I play Preservation Evoker, I just use food buffs or anything that's going to mask my appearance, and that can get pretty old. And my enjoyment of the class, I don't know if that impacts it at all, but I know a lot of people don't play Evoker because of those reasons. But overall, Preservation has been really fun in Season 4 for me. I think the gameplay or the mini gameplay loop that I've experienced or played myself has been pretty fun. You're talking all good things about Preservation Evoker. Why is it not S tier? And I think you probably know why it's not S tier, because the range limitations are still very annoying, especially when it comes to playing with pugs or based on your group's composition. For example, on PTR servers in Season 4, I've been playing with a lot of ranged compositions because Shadow Priest is still slapping. Destruction Warlock AoE is absolutely wild in Mythic Plus. Devastation Evoker is also doing really well. There's a lot of ranged emphasis when it comes to Mythic Plus that I've been testing. And when you're trying to meet some of the healing checks that you have in Season 4 and you have ranged all over the place and you're trying to heal them up because if you miss a heal or if you miss a GCD, they die, it can feel really awkward. I'm not saying you cannot play around your range limitations. You can absolutely do that as a Preservation Evoker. The output can be good. It can feel like a rewarding class, but it requires you have to prepare before it, and it really can be very punishing if you don't do it or if you don't execute it perfect. And honestly, healing is already stressful enough without actually having to worry where everyone is positioned. I'm saying this right now, if Blizzard actually removes some of the range limitations, if they increase your range or if they do something wild in Season 4, I would actually place Preservation Evoker in S tier, arguably one of the most fun healers, because I've had a blast with this spec, and it is relatively, how do I say, the Season 1 tier set gameplay is kind of refreshing to try it out in Mythic Plus content. Again, I'm not sure what that's going to feel like in raids, but this video is all about Mythic Plus. So if they reduce or remove range limitations for Preservation Evoker, for me, it'll probably be one of the most fun healers to play in Mythic Plus content. But that's a big if. That's a big if. I'm not holding my breath for these massive changes at the end of the expansion. Maybe at the start of the next expansion in terms of the War Within, if I was a betting man, but honestly right now Preservation is going to sit in that A tier. Let's go to the next healers, and honestly the next couple of healers are really hard for me to decide in terms of where to place it, in terms of where to rank it, and I'm kind of asking your help here. I really want to know your opinions where you would place Discipline Priest. Discipline Priest in my eyes, in terms of the pure gameplay that you have in Season 3 and Season 4, because Discipline Priest is getting the same Season 3 tier set, which means that you probably be running, we'll have to see if there's going to be tuning. You might be running that Mindbender build, which is all about that cooldown reduction, working with the Season 3 tier set, and it can feel really rewarding or really punishing depending on how you play, and I like that min-maxy aspect of the spec. I like what it provides. I really gravitate towards, and you probably, if you've seen my videos, you probably know that I like healers that can heal through damage. I think that is something that Blizzard has been pushing forward in the last couple of expansions, and I think they're going to expand in the next couple of expansions on this concept because it feels like a more modern healer when it comes to World of Warcraft. So I really like Discipline Priest, what it brings, what the gameplay is, but at the same time, when I log in to do my weekly keys, and I'm looking to do a weekly key on my priest, I don't really jump at Discipline Priest first because I've had some really poor experiences when it comes to, again, random pugs. And this is kind of based on what I said at the start of the video in terms of when I'm trying to differentiate between a class being fun versus a class that's rewarding to play. I do feel that Discipline Priest can sometimes, again, if I'm doing that weekly key, I'm not jumping at the chance of playing Discipline Priest because I don't want to go through some of the nightmare situations that I had when pugging as Discipline. But it's also worth noting that these experiences are partly due to the fact of how Discipline Priest handles certain affixes like bursting. It can be somewhat awkward, you can really feel the cooldown increase on Master Spell, and honestly possibly a skill issue on my part because I just don't play Discipline Priest as much. As a priest, you don't have a whole lot of control when doing these random keys where people might not be using their health potions, their defensives, they might not be interrupting, and everyone's taking consistent damage and not helping with affixes. You can't really do a whole lot as a priest or Discipline Priest in this case, and this has kind of pushed me away from wanting to play this. But at the same time, I fully agree or really enjoy the gameplay that it has, especially if you're doing it with something like an organized group. So where should I place Discipline Priest here? Because do I place Discipline Priest in A tier because I think it is a really fun concept of a healer and does really well in something like organized groups? Or do I place it in B tier because when I log into World of Warcraft, I don't necessarily want to play this because of my previous experiences in random groups? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your opinion. Right now, I'm going to be placing Discipline in A tier because I just enjoy the concept. And honestly, there's something about casting Radiance on the group during heavy AoE moments and then going into your DPS ramp. It can actually feel really satisfying as a Discipline Priest. And this kind of brings me to the next point in terms of Holy Priest. Historically speaking, on my tier list, when I do the fun aspects, Holy Priest hasn't really resonated with me all that much. But honestly, the mini rework that they received in Season 3 in terms of reshuffling some of the talents, in terms of how you deal damage, Holy Priest, I've been playing Holy Priest a lot and I've been enjoying it a lot. I could easily place Holy Priest in A tier. I might be placing it somewhere in B tier because I need to test it a little bit more when it comes to hierarchies and things like that, in terms of I just need to go through that honeymoon stage. When a class gets changed or there is a rework, I play it instantly, and usually if it's somewhat decent of a rework, I go through this honeymoon stage where everything's great, everything's new. And then after months of playing that class, I might be like, okay, that was just okay. And this is what I mean by honeymoon stage. Right now, I definitely would place Holy Priest somewhere in A tier because I've been enjoying it a lot, but I think it would probably fall a little bit lower down the line. I could easily place Discipline Priest or swap places between Discipline Priest and Holy Priest based on how much I've played these specs recently. I am much more reluctant to play Discipline Priest when it comes to weekly keys, especially if you have some nasty affixes like bursting. You really do feel the increased cooldown on Master Spell. I'd rather play something like Holy Priest because I feel you're more responsive or reactive to player mistakes, and Holy Priest is not really changing all that much in terms of the tier set when it comes to Season 4 because you're still going to be using that Season 3 tier set. So this is why I have such a conundrum in terms of where to place Holy Priest and Discipline Priest, because based on my play or recent play, I've been playing Holy Priest more, and I probably have been enjoying Holy Priest a little bit more because of the mini rework. But in terms of what I really gravitate towards, the gameplay concepts on paper, I probably would agree with Discipline gameplay of healing through damage more than what Holy Priest provide. But one of the reasons why Holy Priest has climbed in my rankings, one of the reasons why I've been enjoying Holy Priest a lot, because, and this is going to sound really weird because it is a healer, but I really enjoy the mini gameplay loop that you have while dealing damage as Holy Priest. I've been playing a lot of Season 4, and honestly, the Holy Word Chastise, Holy Fire, Ethereal Blaze talent combination or talent interaction is really fun to play around because you have a bunch of cooldowns, you have a bunch of talents that let you reset or lower the cooldown of Chastise, and therefore you can apply more Holy Fires. I've been using Divine Word talent and using that with Chastise in order to increase my damage. I've been using Apotheosis to reset the cooldown of my Chastise so I could have more Holy Fires out and deal more damage. And that mini gameplay is honestly really appealing. And I've had a lot of fun mainly because of this. So for me, Holy Priest is definitely something that's going to climb. Right now I'm being very conservative in terms of where I'm placing this, because again, I talked about the conundrum that I have. I play my Holy Priest more, especially when it comes to those weekly keys, and that's not going to change in Season 4. I could easily place Holy Priest right here. Honestly, I don't hate any healer out there. I'm enjoying all of them right now. I'm going through the honeymoon stage of Holy Priest rework, but I think if I'm going to be playing Holy Priest for months and months and months, I probably will get bored of this healer a little bit easier than some of the healers out here, and that is completely personal subjective opinion. The last healer is going to be Holy Paladin, and I actually created a specific tier for Paladin itself, and that is needs changes. And the reason I did that is actually quite simple. This is a pre-recorded video. If you're watching this video when it's been released, I'm actually probably somewhere on the beach in Spain getting sunburned. And I made this video with a full confidence that at some point during this week or maybe next week, there is going to be some tuning happening to Holy Paladins, and Holy Paladins could actually change a lot in my fun aspect, because I genuinely believe that with some tuning changes, Holy Paladin could go back to some of its glory days that we saw in the previous patches, previous expansions, because right now when testing Holy Paladin in Season 4, we go back to those rewarding healers. Some of the healers on this list requires a little bit more effort from yourself in order to get some of the numbers that other healers have with less effort. And is that going to create or make the class less fun or more fun, or how do you differentiate between that? I have a really hard time, and therefore that's why Holy Paladin is a little bit in this needs changes section, because I think there are some fundamental flaws, or Holy Paladin has gone through this identity crisis in the last couple of patches. It was known for a very long time as this melee healer, and you could basically heal your party in Mythic Plus content without barely ever having to hardcast any abilities. And that is somewhat changed in Season 3 and Season 4. In Season 4, you're going back to Season 2 tier set, and I definitely can see my Holy Shocks healing for more when they crit. I see they moving bars a little bit more. But at the end of the day, I don't think you're back to that. You're not going to go back to those glory days of Season 2. I went through the old footage that I had as a Holy Paladin doing some of the keys in Season 2. And honestly, the spot healing capabilities that you had as a Holy Paladin was absolutely wild. All of your abilities were moving bars. Going into Season 4 or in Season 3, you don't have the same aspect. That is going to the power of the class. Again, I'm having a hard time differentiating power and fun aspects here. But I overall think at its core, Holy Paladin can be a fun class. And I think with some tuning changes, it can be really fun. A lot of people will go back to the concept that your holy power spenders don't feel impactful enough. I would actually go a step further and say that Holy Shock should be more impactful by itself, because right now the power of Holy Shock is tied into a lot of different aspects of their spec in terms of different talents. But hey, at least in Season 4 with the Season 2 tier set, if your Holy Shock crits, it will feel a little bit better. And I think a lot of these changes will give you more power to your spot healing, and I think that's important when designing a melee healing class, because when you're playing in melee, having impactful instant cast abilities feels rewarding. If you have to stop and hard cast, I think that kind of takes you away from that melee flow a little bit, at least in my personal opinion. I'm not saying these changes are the best way to go. I'm just kind of thinking out loud. I would love to know your opinion. How do you feel about Holy Paladin, and do you think Holy Paladin needs to receive any tuning? And the summary of the video, you don't need any video to tell you which healers are fun. Try them out, experiment with different healers, have a lot of fun, and that is the best way to find which healer is going to fit you. This is just my list of the healers that I've been enjoying in Season 4 when it comes to Mythic Plus content. I have different reasons for why certain healers are S tier. I enjoy the shape-shifting that you have with Resto Druid. I enjoy the cat weaving. I enjoy the DPS aspect. I like the tier set combining with your Grove Guardians. Again, we talked about clear casting with growths and all those things. I really enjoy my Resto Druid when it comes to Mythic Plus content. When it comes to raiding, it's almost completely opposite, but this video is just looking at Mythic Plus right now. Mistweaver Monk, arguably for me the most fun melee healer out there. I think it has a lot of fun aspects. It's mobile. It has a lot of defenses you can chain in order to survive a lot of nasty abilities. I think that adds complexity and fun to the class. I think the class in terms of Mistweaver Monk feels very different when doing weekly keys versus doing really high keys in terms of how you're going to approach different trashback pulls or bosses. We talked about the fact that I would like some melee range increase when playing that Ancient Teaching build, but I don't think Blizzard agrees with this. And with Resto Shaman, I have a lot of fun with Resto Shaman when it comes to Mythic Plus content. Honestly, it's a class that I kind of always gravitate and I always try to come back to. I'm just unsure about what's happening in Season 4 in terms of what is going to be the go-to totem in terms of Cloudburst totem versus Healing Stream totem. Blizzard is not going to please everyone here, but I really hope that they're going to balance these things in such a way that you can play either totem and still be extremely competitive, because otherwise, again, I'm a big enjoyer of Cloudburst totem. If I'm forced to play, or if it's going to be substantially better for me to play Healing Stream totem, I'm going to be a little bit upset. But I know there's many people who don't like Cloudburst totem. I just hope Blizzard is going to achieve a balance here. Preservation of Evoker honestly could easily be arguably the most fun healer to play in Mythic Plus content, especially in Season 4 with the tier set bonus that I've been having a blast with. If the range limitations will be removed, which is a huge if, I don't think that's going to happen. I'll be very surprised if that would actually happen in Season 4. Right now, because of the range limitations, it'll go somewhere in A tier, possibly even lower, but I really kind of like tier set bonus. I talked about this before, but I have a lot of issues on where to place the priest specs when it comes to the fun aspect, because on paper I really gravitate towards what Discipline Priest kind of holds in terms of healing through damage. I really enjoy that concept because I think that is where modern World of Warcraft healers are heading. But when I log into World of Warcraft, when I'm testing Season 4, when I'm doing weekly keys and pokes and things like that, I definitely play Holy Priest more than Discipline Priest. So where should I actually place them? Should I place them based on which healer I actually end up playing more, or which healer I agree with? Like, the main reason I don't play Discipline Priest in weekly keys because I just can't stomach some of the pugs as a discipline. That doesn't mean I really don't like the healer. Again, really let me know how you feel about this. I probably would place Holy Priest in A tier right now because I'm really enjoying the rework. I'm enjoying the DPS gameplay loop that you have with Chastise and Holy Fire. I'm liking some of the talent changes. So I honestly would actually place Holy Priest in A tier, and that should showcase that I'm enjoying most of the healers out there when it comes to Mythic Plus content. Honestly, based on my Season 4 testing, I could play any healers out there and have a fun or fantastic time. But the reason why I place Holy Priest a little bit lower, because I genuinely believe this honeymoon stage is going to expire at a certain point. But that's just to showcase that for me, I really like all healers. And Holy Paladin, I'm placing it here. That's just because I find it hard to differentiate between performance and fun. That's basically it. I genuinely believe that with some tuning changes, Holy Paladin would go back to really fun tiers, would go back to the top of the list or close to the top of the list, because I do like the Holy Paladin gameplay. I like melee healers. I like healers. Again, with Holy Paladin, you kind of have to choose how to use your abilities. Do you want to use your abilities offensively in order to DPS, or do you want to use them defensively in order to heal your party? And I think there should be more reward when making those decisions. I think the reward for Holy Paladin does not match the risk that you're taking, and a lot of the times you might have to do a lot more or put in more effort while playing this spec, and therefore it falls in my fun ranking, because again, I think you should get an appropriate reward when playing a spec, and that makes that spec fun, at least in my eyes. But guys, let me know how I feel about this. I genuinely, I said this multiple times, this is a pre-recorded video. I'm fully expecting, I'm hoping that when I come back from my holidays, there's going to be certain changes happening to Holy Paladin, and Holy Paladin is going to go back to that S tier, being extremely fun and rewarding to play that, because I do like melee healers. So let me know how you feel about this fun ranking. Let me know what your tier list for fun is going to look like. Keep in mind, this is extremely subjective. There is no right or wrong answer here. There is no such a thing as a right or wrong answer. Let me know which healer you're enjoying the most. And I really want to know, if you place certain healers in S tier, why are they S tier for you? Guys, thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in my next video.